I'm your Chair Talk host Nemanja, and this is retrospective from the last week episode with Adrian Jura from Ubisoft.
The problem with VR is that the expectations were really high, and a lot of people expected it to be mainstream now, and there were a lot of problems with the first generation of VR headsets, and a lot of those problems are now solved. I could say that are solved with the standalone headsets.
Then question arises how to innovate in something that is by nature novel.
There are a lot of fields where we can innovate in VR. You are using for VR your body, and a lot of things are linked with that. In the long term, I expect, let's say, that it would be like a normal pair of glasses that transform into VR headsets, as well as an AR headset.
This is Chair, place where we discuss innovations. AI, big data, data science, those are the buzzwords for years now, and there is so many ideas, startups, investment in this area. And when we're talking about technological stuff, it's always from Silicon Valley, and that is from where it comes. But here in the Europe, and I think especially here in the Balkans, we have vast talent that can be used in this area. So on this subject I'm going to talk, and I have a great pleasure to have here Darko Marjanović. Darko is CEO and co-founder of ThinkSolver, member of ASECO Southeast Europe. ThinkSolver is a company that is focused on enlightening data and finding actionable insights from that data. So it's all about data. He started the company when he was just a student, 23 years old, and beside company, he is one of the co-founders of Data Science Serbia organization. So Darko, welcome to Chair. It's a great pleasure to have you here today.
Pleasure is mine.
First, I want to ask you to share with me what you guys are working at this moment. I'm sure that is something very interesting.
Yeah, currently we are working a lot, but main focus is working on our product, because we realized that the product is something most important for our company, that our strategy is the building the product, but not providing only the services and be pure, consulting company, outsourcing, body leasing. So we are very focused on the product. We have now one version, and we are, adding more features depending what we see on the market that is necessary. And now we are full speed in that. Besides that, we have a couple of integrations of the product, and it's really busy these days.
Interesting times, right?
Yes, very interesting.
And beside this, I want to congratulate you on becoming a part of ASECO family, ASECO Southeast Europe. And I'm sure that this is something that changed your plans, yours and your team, for the years to come.
Actually, there is no big change in plan, but it's speeding up the plan, because our strategy, our goal from the beginning is growth, to become big company, to have the best people on the market to work in the ThinkSolver. And with ASECO Southeast Europe, we now speeding up that. Let's call it hyperscaling it, because with ASECO, it's maybe a strange but small company and a very big company, but there are very big benefits for us in channels, distributing channels like sales, but also they're helping us with finance, HR, and things that was second focus until now in our company, because now me and other co-founder and other people can focus building the product, business development, and on data. So no distractions anymore.
So you can enjoy more in your day-to-day work, right?
Yes, even more, because administrative things, no papers too much for me. So everything is prepared by someone else, and of course sales.
Excellent. And how many people do you have right now? I think you have a big growth.
26, and we started last year before COVID, all the situation with around 10 people, I think, and all the newcomers are hired by 1st of February. So we had a growth
Yeah,
during
you
this.
exploded, right?
Yes, and we are expanding to other cities like Kragujevac, and we have big plans also for the region with the help of Asseco, of course, but this is also because of the market demand. So
Yeah.
it's not only...
Before I continue with our main subject of the day, and I just want to stay a bit more on Asseco topic and emerge with them. Since lately I had so many guests here that wanted to talk, and our subject was collaboration between startups and the corporate, right? And there are what are the benefits? What are the risks? Especially that we talked about innovating process and how that collaboration between corporate and startups can be complex and extensive. So can you share with me from your first-hand experience on this subject, how you see it?
Yeah, I think that's important, especially for small companies, for startups, to have to big players have a role in the whole ecosystem. We as a company, we started working with the big companies. Our first client was Banca Intesa. So there was only two of us, and the client was Banca Intesa. So they play their role, they give us a chance, they give us a project, so they enable us to grow. Also, I don't know, Planeta Sport and VIP Mobile. So we started this corporate and startup, how to say, synergy with the client. So they give us a chance. And I think that is important because that's are not big projects. The big corporations spend a lot of money on, don't get me wrong, those stupid things. So they can, I don't know, invest a little bit in the ecosystem because it's good for not only for them because they will get something cheaper, first thing, but also they're building the ecosystem. And now with Asseco, as my friend Costa under it says, this is win-win situation. So we are bringing some agility, let's say. So because we are smaller, we are more agile. We don't have too many processes and that kind of things. And we are bringing innovations. So we are easier to innovate. We are easier to make mistakes than, for example, big companies. And that's something that we are bringing to Asseco. And on the other hand, they're putting money into us. They're putting their trust, which is, I think, more important into ThinkSolver, into us, and they are giving us a chance. And there is a win for us. Okay, we'll grow because that's the idea, but also for Asseco. They don't need to build their AI teams internally. They have the company, and there was a perfect fit. I think that's very important. If you're fit in a business strategy and you're fit in the technology area, because when we spoke with Asseco from the beginning, there was clear, okay, we can easily integrate what we are doing with Asseco technology and the products, and that makes some synergy and benefits for Asseco. They can provide now AI capabilities to their clients, but also for us. We can work with more banks, not only in Serbia, but I don't know, broader, but not only banks, the other industries, because Asseco is not only banking as we have sometimes feel here in Serbia, but it's
You gave me now an idea that I should bring somebody from Asseco and talk with him about this, and maybe a year from now get two of you guys in the same place and again adjust and see how this experience changed both of sides.
Yeah, that's good idea.
Maybe let's maybe do it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go back on the subject, and it's data science and AI, and I want to ask you how your process of innovation works, how you decide where to go next and what to do next.
So just a brief how we started. We started as a pure service company, so we provide consultancy for big data at first moment, and then we work with the clients and we listen. So me personally, I like to listen. I don't like to talk too much. This is exception. So we listen the market, the clients. We are investigating what the companies similar to us working in US, in Europe, especially, but mostly in US because they're usually start first with some things, and then we collect that knowledge, and that's how we start to build a product which is innovative in this market. And then also we keep that process. It's not standardized process. It's not. It's common sense. So we were working with our clients. We are listening feedback, and we are, because we have of course roadmap of our product. We are putting things on the roadmap or changing priorities based on what we are talking with our clients. That's something which we call common sense, but also for innovation, because when you're a small company, when it was 5 of us, okay, it's easier to, let's say, innovate, because you can change. Okay, I don't want anymore to do this technology, I can switch to this one. It's easier.
So much less angles that you need to cover, right?
You don't have a clients that pay for some versions that something need to work. So, but when you grow, that's change, of course, and you need to be careful. And you need to make a balance, because you're not R&D company and you must earn salaries for your people. And then we decide, okay, we will build our internal lab, and in ThinkSolver we build is maybe the wrong word, but we decided to have ThinkSolver lab, and where we can put our initiatives internal. There is idea also for external, but first internal. That are not part of the product, that are not part of any project, but we want to play. And what we introduced from this year, we give the people 4 days, at this moment 4 days a year. Usually that is last Friday in the quarter, where people can work on anything they want, so they can choose. And they have the ThinkSolver lab to put that there. They have infrastructure like cloud and everything support. And if we see there is a business benefit, we can sell that to someone. There is a market fit for that. We can put it into the product, or even something maybe more interesting. For now, for example, we have one project that is for me also very interesting, is visual search. So we didn't plan that into our product, into our roadmap. We didn't have too many, let's say, at the moment when we started, too many requests from the clients, but people were playing around with that. And now we have the request from the market, but we also have already innovative piece of product which we can now even easily embed into our product. And that's the idea, how we want to bring innovations into our products, but not only products, but also projects. So
that's also interesting, and you mentioned the lab idea, and my next question is connected with that. It's about your organization and how this organization can support innovation. And I want you to give me more ideas about that lab and how that fits in the overall organization and overall processes that you have there.
Mm-hmm. So a lab itself, it's isolated from structure that we have. I must mention that we are, let's say, playing around with the organizational structure a lot, let's say. So we are making changes maybe on the 6-month, 1 year level. So we are trying to find the perfect, let's say, organizational structure, but also following what we are doing. So if our innovations and the product are main focuses, we are changing the organization in that way. For example, at the beginning, we didn't have that structured organization. We simply have data science, data engineer, and front-end teams. So we have only 3 pillars. But now, as we have a product which is more in place, where we have more clients, now we have the product teams, but also have the delivery teams. But also the idea is to have also business development and sales. And that's something we already we have in place from the New Year's. And now we are trying to see, do we need to have the separate R&D at this moment? But at this moment, the lab is separated. It doesn't have its pillar, because there is no still enough, let's say, investments of money or revenue from the project that we can put. When we met that requirement, probably we will have separate pillar for that.
And
But
how you measuring the innovation level? Do you have some KPIs defined, or how?
For that, because we are using OKRs as a company,
Okay.
so we are using we have the company OKRs, and one of the OKR is innovation, and actually it's a different way around. So we don't have a lab to innovate, but innovation is a goal, and the lab is one of the, let's say, resources how to do that. So our idea, we say, okay, we need to innovate. What that means, how we can measure. Okay, we have the lab. What that means, we should have at least 5 projects this year. They doesn't need to make success, but
Just to create
to try, because I am strong believer in try and fail, but fast, and that you can learn from the mistakes. I think that's the best way you can learn. And that's the way how we are measuring. So we have one of the objectives is innovation, and what this means. Okay, we need to have 5 projects. We need to have 5 people involved, but that doesn't mean you need to work on this. You need to work on it, but people need itself to
engage. Yeah.
To engage. So there is no pressure. So we try to encourage people to work on the projects in lab, of course. So we're bringing materials and from the market, and I am as a CEO and other management people are here to encourage and to find even business value on the market. So to close the full cycle.
Was it challenging to implement OKRs?
Yes, the first year was terrible. The first year was terrible, and now is way better. And now even we as management, we put the North Star, the OKRs, and we give the teams freedom to decide how their quarterly OKRs will look like, but they need to follow the North Star. And now it's better. I'm not yet satisfied, but it's
it's work in progress, right?
work in progress. I think it's all time work in progress.
Yeah. So you're an engineer, and I like to ask you a question. What it takes for a good engineer to become even better leader?
That's a tough one. How to say? I think maybe you are now engineer and you are becoming the leader in sense of your manager and leader. I think you can be the leader also as an engineer. What you definitely need is soft skills and emotional intelligence. I think that's important thing. But I believe and I think if you really like and love what you're doing, and that you are 100% in that, or 120% or 200%, whatever, then you are a good leader, because you are showing to your people, not only to your people, but also to your clients, to your community, that you are leading, that you are believing that. I think the leader is, let's say, someone who believes in what he is doing. I think it's not too connected engineer. I'm engineer. Maybe I'm not anymore engineer because I didn't write a line of code for 6 months or something like that. But I think for a leader, it's important to lead, to be the first jump from the cliff, and then the other will follow. I think.
Yeah. You perfectly explained the leadership by example, right?
I think that's the most important thing. So you need to give example, and you need to believe in that, and you need to be, to exist in that what you're doing. So no breaks. So it's hard to explain and it's hard to understand, but this is the best I could explain it.
So I want to go back to the Think Solver and the things that you guys do. And I know that you have so many clients from the US. And at the beginning we mentioned Silicon Valley and all the novelties, all the new things from the technology are coming from there. And I want to ask you, can we compete with their AI and big data teams?
Yeah, I think definitely. It's not you're competing with US or Silicon Valley. I think you're competing with a different companies. So the US, it's a big market, lot of AI teams. Definitely there are some better than you, but there is also a lot of teams and companies that are on your level, or let's say they're not on that level. So we definitely can compete. I think what is important, what is something where we approach when we're working with the clients abroad, is that we respect ourselves. I think that's something is missing in Serbia, definitely, and that we can show the value. So it's not like from Serbia, you're cheaper, and then that's why they choose Serbian company. I believe more in this. Okay, there is a price component, but the price component will play a role in every business, in every deal, because that's something you measure. You want to have cheapest as possible service or product from the company perspective. But what is important that we are giving the same quality, sometimes even better quality. I know from personal experience from the project that we have there, that we are giving the same level of quality at least. So we can even be the better, because we have some specific thing here. This is the national thing. I think we want to learn. We are giving 100% of ourselves into what we are doing and what we are working, and this you cannot find, I don't know, in some Western nations. So this is our, I think, big plus, and definitely we can compete. But we should compete in US with the US companies, and in Europe, or I don't know, in Asia. But we need to believe in us, and I believe that we have the top people in ThinkSolver, and we can easily compete in Silicon Valley with no problem. We will give the same level of even better.
You mentioned that the people and the top people that we have, how is hard to find the best people?
No, it's hard, especially in.
Do you have some tricks or tips? Or?
No, the what we are looking for is to find the good people that are willing to learn. So we are not even looking for, I don't know, top expert, I don't know, for classification or for AI, but we are looking for people that want to give a quality, and then we make the solid ground where they can show their skills. You can always learn something. You have some senior to help, but I think if you're willing to learn, it doesn't matter if you are, I don't know, coming from, I don't know, your economics or whatever. If you're willing to do this, to provide the quality, that's something is important for us. And of course, it's not easy to become a ThinkSolver, or to say solver, what we call internally. But the thing's important, and we're looking for that people, and that's important. And it's hard, of course. The market is full of companies. You need to fight with the benefits, but where we are investing the most, we are giving the purpose to people. So what they're working, how the work that we are doing, helping our clients or other people. Is that saving some, I don't know, money, or make some life easier, whatever. So I think that's the trick. You need to give the purpose to the people.
I like to finish with the future, and to see from the leader's perspective what is coming next. So my last question for you today is regarding how you see the future of AI and big data. What is the next around the corner?
Yep, that's our job, to predict the future. So I think this is only the beginning of data science, big data, AI on the market. So market is growing rapidly. So it's like blowing, and the need for the data scientists, AI engineers, data engineers will only increase in next couple years. they will incorporate in various jobs and processes. This will of course destroy some jobs, but will open, I think, much more new roles and jobs, especially what I think where we will have the challenge and where we will need to have more people involved is how to control the AI. That's something everyone is talking about, but that's I think our job to control, and we need to think about ethical part of the AI. Is everything what we are building, the algorithms, is that okay for, is that normal, let's say, like that. So I think that's the future. First we need to make mechanism how to control it, and definitely then to use it even more, because it will bring more benefits for the whole humankind, because you don't need maybe to, I don't know, to be miner in the mind, and that machine can work, the AI can work, and you can save lives. I look on that from that perspective. So I think we should look at the positive things which will come and make a focus on control, not going into the opposite direction. That's the role of all of us, because this is definitely something will increase in the future years.
Darko, thank you so much for sharing your experience and ideas. And for you out there, thank you for watching this episode. And if you liked it, subscribe, and see you next Thursday when we talk about some new innovations.
Thank you, Emily.